I'm gonna tell you exactly how you can quit your job. Whatever reason, whether it's you just bored or want to move on to better and bigger things, greener pastures, sometimes we get to a point in life where we need to leave our current position, we need to leave our current job. So I'm gonna share with you tips by which you need to follow in order to properly quit your job. Now there is some way to quit your job that burns bridges, disrupts networks and relationships. And there's another way to quit a job that maintains those bridges, maintains relationships, and puts you in a better position if you need references or your current employers or colleagues in the future. So whatever the reason is that you need to leave your current job, it is important that you leave the right way. So before you make that I quit video on TikTok or on YouTube, watch this video on exactly how you can quit your job. So before we go ahead and put in our 2 weeks notice, or before we terminate our current position, let our employer know we are leaving, there's a couple of things that you need to set in motion, a couple of things that you need to do before you quit. First things first is having a savings account. Now experts recommend having between 3 to 6 months of savings before you quit your job, because while the job market is hard, I personally post tons of jobs on this YouTube channel. If you're not familiar with my channel, watching this video for the first time, please subscribe. I post about how to make money, keep it and grow it, as well as remote work and things about jobs like this video. So you can tell that the job market is ripe. There's people always hiring, but you are not guaranteed to get a new job right away and might need to rely on your emergency savings or your savings. Whatever the case is, however much you have saved, it's important to have some sort of savings, and that's the first thing that you need to consider before quitting your job. Have some savings before going ahead and terminating yourself or putting in your 2 weeks notice. That way, if anything and you don't get a job immediately, you are safe. The second thing to keep track of is your vacation days. Now you know that your vacation days sometimes convert to dollars that go on your last paycheck. So make sure you tally up how much vacation time and other paid time you have in the bank. That way you are tracking that when you receive that very last check. If you wanted to take some time off and chill out, so not just put your 2 weeks in and then end your current job and transition to starting the next one. If you wanted to take some time off, that extra check or that extra dollars from that last check will come in handy. But you want to make sure that you're tracking that as far as your paid time and vacation hours. The next thing you want to do is spend the money that you have in your FSA or flexible spending account. Now this is a deeper dive video that I could do, the difference between HSA and FSA accounts. But the biggest drawback with an FSA account, a flexible spending account, when it comes to healthcare is that whatever money you have in there, you lose it when you leave a job. So before you leave your current employer, before you leave your current job, whatever money you have in your flexible spending account or FSA, make sure you spend it on co-pays. So visit a doctor, get a dentist, job done, go get your eyes checked. Make sure you spend that money before you leave, otherwise you will lose that money, as opposed to an HSA where the money stays in your account and moves on to your next employer. The next thing you want to do is also make sure you have health insurance. Like I said, for the very first point, you don't know how much long you're going to be out of the job. So you want to make sure that you cover, especially if you have kids. So make sure you have at least enough savings to cover any medical expenses or medical bills, or you have health insurance through a spouse or through a secondary means. That way you are covered and don't need to go into emergency with health if anything comes up. And last but not least, this is the very most important thing you need to do or keep track of before you put in your 2 weeks notice, is to keep track of your 401k. I did a mistake of this. I had 401k in different kind of accounts, in Fidelity and Schwab's and Vanguard, and moving between jobs, it just gets very complicated to track. So you want to make sure that you're consolidating or just keeping track. Make sure you have the passwords, make sure the numbers look right. Just make sure you're keeping track of your 401k or your Roth IRA. Now that we got those things out of the way that you need to take care of before you put in those 2 week notice, here's exactly how you should go ahead and quit your job. So the first thing you want to ask yourself before leaving a job is how much time or how much notice you have to give. That is the first thing you want to consider. Generally, 2 weeks is still the standard. 2 weeks is still the required time. But if you're working on a contract, you want to check the rules. You want to check the contract to see what the requirements or the policy is for your contract. In your 2 week notice, you want to tell your employer what it is that you liked about working there. I'm sure there is something. You can find something that you enjoyed in your time there. You don't have to be detailed about your next plans or what it is that you are moving on to. Down below in the description, I have a template as far as a quitting letter. You can also use ChatGPT 3.4 to write a simple quit letter. But the most important thing is that within those 2 weeks, you want to stay professional and do your job. Let your favorite coworkers know that you're leaving and leave on a positive note. The next thing you want to do is to put in your resignation in a formal letter. It's not okay to just do it through Slack or Skype or whatever chat method you use, or to put it through word of mouth, but actually put it through a formal letter. You should do this with your hiring manager, your direct supervisor, as well as a human resource manager. If you're not sure what to say, like I said, there will be a template in the description of this video, or you can use the robot ChatGPT to write one, or just Google it and find a template that you can use. But essentially, you want to give a time frame of when exactly your last day would be. That's the most important information, and why your last day is coming up. Essentially, that you're quitting, you're leaving, and you're moving on. You don't have to give any much more details. Just, make sure you tell them that you enjoy working there, what you learned, or different things like that. But the most essential is you're leaving and when your last day will be. This next thing to do, or next step to do, it really is up to you. It's just something that I think is, good ethic and, professional. But you want to time your resignation properly. You don't want to tell your boss you're leaving when they're in the midst of a crisis, when things are, kind of hard or going down in the company. But when they're comfortable, when everything is up, when everything is moving smoothly. Again, you can do this if you want. It's really up to you. You really might not care and you just want to leave. But you want to make sure that you time it properly. Give them your resignation when they feel good about your work, when they have room to breathe, when things seem like they are in a good point at the job site in the environment. The next thing is very important to do, and is be honest in your exit interview. Sometimes your human resource department will conduct an exit interview, and this is when they bring you in, might be virtually, or they bring you in and have an interview, receive your feedback, whether in writing or just an interview communication style about your time there, what you think will make the company better. This is the time to be honest. It will help the person coming in after you, and it also might, help you when you come back, or if you come back to the job later in the future, if they implement the feedback that you give to them in your exit interview. You want to be brutally honest, but not nasty. So everything that you've had gripe or grief about, you want to be honest about it and state how exactly they can improve, the things that they can do different or do better or not do at all. The last thing that you need to do when you quit or before you quit is to leave gracefully. This is the end. You've put in your 2 weeks. And there's still time on the clock. You want to make sure that you do your work with integrity, do your work honestly, and do your work with joy, regardless of whatever the consequences or the circumstances is that you are leaving. In most cases, you will still have 2 weeks on the clock. Work with your managers, work with your coworkers, make sure that the transition is smooth, is swift. If you have SOPs, standard operation procedures that you personally develop, you can leave those behind for the next person coming through, or with your favorite co-worker. Also, this is your last chance to network with people that you care about, your friends, co-workers, managers, people that you want to keep touch with down the line. So last thing, but certainly not the least, that you need to do is just wrap up and leave gracefully. Despite all the advice we've talked about in this video, I would say the most important thing to do when quitting a job is to have a new job lined up, a better job. And there's tons of those that I post on this channel daily, remote work in different industries, something that you might like. So definitely subscribe if you're looking for new work, if you're looking for tips about the job site, or just advice on how to make it, keep it, and grow it, your money. So I will see y'all in the next one. My name is Flex. I do hope you enjoyed this video because I enjoy making it, and I will see y'all next time. Peace.